Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell, and I'm going to be going over some information that I received from Miss Taiwan. I'm going to be doing some short videos explaining some of the things that have been going on in Asia, Europe, and the United States, India. I'm recording this on January 16th. The information that I received from Miss Taiwan, some of it is last Friday, some of it is a little bit throughout this week. So I'll go over that. To help support my work, please make sure you subscribe to all my channels. I have 4 channels on YouTube. I have Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. Please subscribe to all those channels. You can also follow me on Podomatic, Apple Podcast, and listen to my audio podcasts on my website, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Please ask your social media to follow me. It's important to create more followers so I can reach a larger audience to tell them what is going on. It's very important. To help support my work, share the links, subscribe. Make sure you follow me on X. I have 2 channels on X. I also have a channel on GETTR. And be a paid member to Patreon. Patreon link, my channel for Patreon's link is in the description of this video and all my videos. And if you can, be a paid member there. You can also donate on my website, the-studio-reykjavik.com, through Stripe, PayPal, or buy me a coffee on the homepage at the very bottom. It's really easy. Click the link, boom, you can donate. So those are great ways to help support my work and to purchase the products that I offer. These are products that I talk about that I use, and if you follow my lead, you'll be better off. Now, it's through the donations that allow me to do these free videos, all right? So please donate on my website, the-studio-reykjavik.com, through Stripe, PayPal, or buy me a coffee, or be a paid member to my Patreon channel. I have thousands of videos for free to help inform you on what's going on in the world, in terms of your health, in terms of your finances, in terms of geopolitics and domestic news that may, affect you in terms of your sovereignty, in terms of taxation, in terms of what's going on in your community. So I talk about a lot of stuff. All right. So please help support my work by donating, subscribing, going to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and purchasing the products that I offer. I have ebooks. I have lots of different products. I have lectures on immunology and pulmonology for only $50. You get a lot of PDFs, you get a lot of videos, you learn a lot, only for $50. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Again, I'm recording this on January 16th. It's a Thursday. So the thread of information that I was receiving from Miss Taiwan starts last Friday. Okay, so almost a week ago. So I'm playing catch up here to get all the data points down. So on Friday of last week, measles outbreak. This is from Miss Taiwan. Measles outbreak in Taiwan. So there's a measles outbreak in Taiwan. Flu outbreak in Japan. Influenza is problematic around the world. China has more than 10 types of viruses and bacteria infections. Government not testing for COVID, but people trying to get Paxlovid, but cannot. They are buying the Indian knockoffs. Okay, now she's getting this information on news that is in Asia, either Chinese news, Taiwanese news, okay? A lot of people get reinfected after recovery. More people are dying in China, but nobody knows the situation, but not as bad as COVID for now. So the situation right now in China, not as bad as COVID during the COVID years. And most likely, this is my opinion, she doesn't say this, most likely what we're talking about here is respiratory infections that are hMPV. We talked about that before, pneumovirus, and there's RSV, there's SARS-CoV-2, there's several different respiratory infections that are floating around in China. Okay, what I found interesting is that they're having a a um, a run on Proxlivit. So there's a lot of people that are infected in China. Now that was Friday. Now I remember seeing a report where some of the cases have been dying down. Some of the cases have been going down, I should say, for respiratory infection in China. So we may be seeing the peak in China. All right. On Monday, she states more news coming out, crowds appearing at morgues at a few major cities in China. Shanghai stopped any livestock trading for the next 3 years, never before. Now, I need to clarify that because I don't understand why they're not doing livestock trade. So it seems as though if what she's saying is when she says livestock, I think what she's meaning animals. All right. And for the next 3 years, it seems awfully long. There's something going on in China that's infecting animals. That's a data point. And then I stated on Monday that, according to the news, that China seemed to be going down. Cases are going down based on the business channels that I was listening to. And she's saying that the business channels aren't paying attention to the Chinese news and that her source is from Taiwan. The news source is from Taiwan. And then I asked her, in terms of the human MPV, so the metapneumovirus in China, do you know if the variant is A1B, B1, or B2? And she said that the news is stating that it's B1 and B2. Now, I did a video talking that my concerns are this A1B, B1, and B2. She also says that there's in the news that they're increasing hMPV, but she doesn't understand why they're banning livestock trading. I think that their livestock is sick in China. And that may be a leveraging point for, now think about this. That may be a leveraging point for Trump with tariff negotiations, where we sell animals to China because they have a shortfall of animals. That's my just thinking as I'm reading this. That's not what Miss Taiwan says. And then she's saying that the Chinese New Year's coming. A lot of kids, so we knew about the pediatrics with the hMPV. A lot of kids get reinfected 3 times. Usually you recover, you are immune. Well, that's true, right? China is not testing the strains, probably no money. So they're not testing, according to the news that she's listening to, her news source. They're not testing that well the different strains of hMPV. Now, what is interesting there is that this is all on Monday of this week. The news is also mentioning Influenza A, H1N1, PDM09 strain. So that's starting to take hold in China again. I asked her, what about that '09 strain for influenza, and she's saying it's the most popular in China at the moment. I don't know if she means most incidences or if she means the fastest growing, because it could be low incidence but the fastest growing, or the highest incidence. And then yesterday, so Wednesday, I asked her any news on Marburg outbreak in Africa, and she's saying there's nothing in the news in Asia about it, in Taiwan, China news. But what is interesting is there's a lot of it in Indian news. Okay, so those are data points. So summary of the data points with Miss Taiwan, before I go to a different video. There's an outbreak in Taiwan with measles. She conveyed this information last Friday. Flu outbreak in Japan. There are 10 different types of viruses and bacteria infections that they're tracking. Paxlovid is low on stock, and that individuals in China are trying to get the Indian knockoff of Paxlovid. Livestock trading supposedly is being suspended for 3 years. I didn't hear that in the business channel, which is surprising. But I could have missed it. The variants that are the most popular at the moment in hMPV is B1 and B2. And then there's reinfection about 3 times for children for this MPV. But MPV is a common virus for pediatrics. Lots of pediatric patients get MPV over their lifetime, especially in their pediatric years. And then they build up an immunity. The question is there something in B1 and B2, or maybe even A1B, where it mutated in such a way where there's a different dynamic? So you have an endemic issue with hMPV, but is there a mutation that took place that makes it more problematic? That's my concern. I don't have the answer to that. And then the livestock trading being suspended, that's a little odd. I didn't know the '09 strain for H1N1 is becoming popular in China again. And nothing in the news in Taiwan about Marburg as of yesterday. Okay. So that's a summary of what Miss Taiwan had to say. Now, what's my take on it? All right. hMPV is still problematic. Business channels seem, from what I heard in the US news, business channels were making it sound like the cases were going down. From Miss Taiwan's point of view, it seems as though the cases are still elevated. So you have US news saying one thing, Asian news saying something different. Cases are going up in certain areas in the region, especially in India, for hMPV. So something's weird. Now, let's assume what Miss Taiwan's saying is correct, that cases are still elevated for hMPV, and that there are a lot of different respiratory problems happening in China at this moment in time. That's concerning because the peak, based on prior year data, human MPV typically peaks March to May in China, not December, January, February. Okay, so if there is lots of cases now, that means lots of cases are coming in March, April, May. So we may actually see a downtick, but then an uptick. So there's a surge. What happens is there's a surge in December, January, February, dies down, and then it resurges up in March, April, May. That's the typical dynamic. In the March, April, May prevalence, the number of cases in China typically are higher with that in prior years than in December, January, February. So the question is, in Asia, in Malaysia, in India, all right, what's going on with hMPV? Is it all early surge that in the surge in March, April, May will be down compared to prior years, or will it be worse? Now, if there was a mutation for, let's say, B1 or B2 that makes it more prevalent, makes it fuse better, or has a higher affinity to its receptor, then you most likely will have an additional surge in March, April, May. So that's my concern. I really think that if the epidemiology history of hMPV in China, that dynamic projects itself in 2025, then we should see another surge in China, probably April. That's what I'm wondering. What's going on with, and that's why it's so important to understand what mutated. Is there a mutation? I suspect that there is. Now, what is it? I don't know. Is it the F protein? Is it the G protein? So we'll see. We'll see with that. So that's my take on what Miss Taiwan told me on Friday and on Monday and yesterday. So there was 3 communiques. You know, her giving me some updates on what's going on in Asia. Now, yesterday, there was no news that she knew of in Asia talking about Marburg in Africa, which surprised me. So please help support my work. Make sure you subscribe to all the channels. I have 4 channels on YouTube, Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. Please subscribe to all of them. Please ask your social media to subscribe and follow me. Follow me on X. Follow me on GETTR. I have 2 channels on X. Listen to my podcasts on Podomatic, Apple Podcast, and on my website, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Help support the work by donating. You can donate through Stripe, PayPal, or buy me a coffee on my website, the-studio-reykjavik.com, or be a paid member on Patreon. It's through the donations that allow me to do this for free. I have thousands of videos for free. I think I'm giving a unique perspective. So we learned something from Miss Taiwan. You know, livestock trading seems to be disrupted. Why? Probably animals are infected. There's a problem with the animals. And you have influenza H1N1 09 strain moving around in China. So that's problematic. The measles outbreak that's going on in Taiwan. And what's going on with Marburg, all right? So please help support my work. Please donate. Go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, follow my lead, and get the products. Thank you for listening, and have a nice day.